Lisa, during this situation, it's a new norm, uncertainty. Film industry was affected, I know, because the licenses were not given. I was watching in news and all that. So how did you cope up during this time?
When MCO first started, that was when we were all said jangan keluar rumah. Like we were told to stay indoors.
Jangan pandang belakang. Sorry, go ahead.
So when that first started, it was interesting because I think the way I handle information or the way I process information is different from the way my husband does. So for my kids, I have two children. My daughter just turned 5. Just turned 5.
Nice.
It's now 3. So they're a lot, smaller. And then it was just a matter of time for us to explain. When the question came about, why can't we go out? Why can't we go to the playground? Why can't we go to the play area? It was for us to explain that we can't because there's a virus out there and we have to protect ourselves from being sick. But how does mommy handle it? How does daddy handle it, right? In the beginning, to be honest with you, I felt that sense of anxiety building up. Why? Because I was freaked out about the coronavirus. I was very freaked out because I wasn't sure about, at that time there was a lot of things being shared, be it on traditional media and also the internet, about how easily contagious it is. Some say it's actually even airborne and all that. Those that were, that the whole battle of what was trustworthy information and what was fake news as well.
Yeah.
So in the beginning, at home itself, my husband would be watching the news from day to night. Because he needed to understand how things were going on outside of Malaysia. So he was watching, be it American or English or European news or even ASEAN, Pacific or whatever. Yeah. In different local context, punya news on how they were, because it's a global pandemic, right?
Yeah.
So I was also, in a way, processing this information because I would be in the same room with him watching it, right? And then when you go on your phone, same things are all happening. People are sharing information. People are, be it on your timeline or people are sharing it on WhatsApp, and all that. So after a while, I felt that like this uncertainty, because we were at that point of time, at the beginning of the MCO, we weren't sure how long this MCO was going to be.
Yep.
We weren't sure about, at that time, we were thinking a lot about what was going to happen or what's we were thinking so much about the future. Whilst going through the present, we're thinking so much about the future. And it's so gray. It's so uncertain. In this particular case, right? Like the future is uncertain anyway. But the thing is, but the thing is, like, of course, with a pandemic-like issue, gosh, like this is quite overwhelming.
Yeah.
So how did I handle it? Was I decided to detach myself from it. You see, I'm not saying what my husband did was wrong. With all due respect, he is able to process information that way. Able to sort of look at it objectively and like, oh, all right, this is how it's going on there. This is how it's going on there. This is how it's going on there. He's able to take it. For me, however, I obviously, I'm a bit more like, oh no, oh gosh, oh this is or whatever. So the way I process information is different. The way I digest it is also different. So I decided to detach myself from it. What I did was I kind of took myself away from the TV room, where the news is going on about it, and I kind of went on to a more spiritual route.
Okay.
I started reading the Quran more. I was reading every day. I kind of and then went on to classes, online classes, but it had nothing to do with like what the pandemic is and the Quran, whatever. It was just me learning about the Quran and learning about the teachings of our messenger and all that. So I do that to kind of I think that was coming. I think in a way that was what I did for the pandemic, like during the MCO. And that was when I started realizing that, gosh, here I am thinking so much about what will be, what will be, what will, because it is what's going to happen in the future. But the being more present with just digesting information that was good for myself, digesting information that was good for my heart, good for my mind, that was helpful for me to sort of like be more present. Going to the point where I look around me and I say, thank God, Alhamdulillah, I have a roof above my head. And I went even down to the basics of like, even if I don't have all these things, the very mere fact that I am breathing, I'm thankful for that. So you start being more present and even the littlest of blessings you count into account.
Wow.
So that helped me every day, and then I, just little things like I suddenly, my girls walk passes by to take her toy. I'm like, I have, and that was good. That was good exercise for me. It was good. It was good physical exercise for me. It was good mental exercise for me to actually really, really appreciate, to really, really practice gratitude, So I detached myself from things that would make me forget that. So that's how I handled the MCO.
This is awesome, Lisa. This is the best time for all of us to go within, right? To assess ourselves. It's exciting what you said. We are very much in the future to know what will be, what will kind of thing, where we forgot to live in the moment, right? So, one of the things that I've heard from psychologists talking, thinking too much in the past, why this thing happened to me and all that leads up to depression. Thinking too much on how the future is going to be how it's going to pan out is going to create anxiety, and both of it is not in the now. So in the now, it's what is real and you're enjoying it. I personally went through a lot of deep soul searching. I did a lot of meditation, yoga. It was a massive reset. A lot of experiences that came, when you're closing the eyes. I realized that I'm happier inside, and whatever that happens outside, it doesn't really matter actually. And
it's we're all it also helps when you put the faith about what will be, because like we were talking about, the practice of being present, right?
yeah.
And this is really humbling in a sense where when you put faith, strong faith about the about the whole what will be,
Yeah.
And then you kind of resign to the fact that like, not everything is in our control.
Yeah.
especially when, like with the pandemic situation, that's really, in a way, like you said, like the laws of nature is actually taking place. Not exactly, it could be a result of an accumulation of what was done by mankind, who knows, go into that, but then at the same time, like, like now that we are at this present moment about what will be and all that, right, is sometimes, that when you put that faith that, like, then you start practicing that, okay, put that faith and that belief. And like how they say, whatever it is that the mind can conceive, the body can achieve. You believe that, like, things will be okay.
Absolutely.
Like,
absolutely.
And then you just leave it to faith. You leave it to God. That I think that was helpful, I think, also for me. Meanwhile was that, practice of being present.
Fantastic.
I noticed that, like when I'm, a lot of the cases that we've been hearing about, a lot of families, going through very, very difficult situations because currently they're going through that alamak, like how do we survive the next month? How? The next month how? The next month how? I'm not saying that it is not a problem to be acknowledged. I honestly believe that in whatever it is that we go through, I do believe that it is important to acknowledge the problem. Naturally, I think I don't study psychology. I actually don't, but I somehow believe that there is something in our system, our body system, that activates whenever a problem arises, which is, I call it the survival button, where the button will tell you, like, hey, this is a problem. It's either you decide to complain about it in your head, which is a natural thing, because we're human, or you start thinking like, but how do I solve it? That one will naturally kick in. But meanwhile, I think, meanwhile, I think back to the conversation that we had. Sorry, I was actually going into adversity, all that. But
we are going in. We can continue. We are going there. Let's talk about that.